Today's webinar is on SourceScan. The following are the contents of this webinar. We will look into the overview of SourceScan, key benefits, and what is rules and how to configure it, and how to log the output, finally followed by a demo. Now this SourceScan is nothing but a tool which will ensure that the coding that is done is as per the coding standards. So this tool is mainly useful in cases where when the project is being migrated or code is being migrated. In that case, we will have many enforcement of rules such as like many obsolete macros or some way the coding has to be done. In that case, manual enforcement would be difficult. So this SourceScan tool comes in handy in such cases, which ensures automatic enforcement of all those rules. And currently the SourceScan is supported for C, C++, and TPF assembly programming. And the output would be, the output of this tool would be reported as errors or warnings in the zTPFGI output tab. Now it could be used in different ways. We will see all those things. The key benefits of the SourceScan tool is it eliminates the manual method of ensuring the coding standards are met, and it would reduce the formal code review time, and it helps the developers in easy maintenance of the code, and as said previously, it is very helpful for migration purposes. Having said that, a rule is a main input which this tool operates on. The SourceScan tool, it takes these rules as input and it operates on the requested source code, and it gives the outputs in the zTPFGI tab. So this rule could be written for both ASM as well as CPP file. Now this rules could be either implicit rules or customized rules. So for ASM, we could see some of the implicit rules. Suppose we know that this continue macro has to end with a comma, and this continue line has to start in column 16. Suppose if the developer doesn't ensure that in his coding, in that case, we can ensure that the SourceScan tool verifies those rules, and that could be reported as violations in the output tab. Also similarly, if there are some labels that are being defined but not used, that could also be identified by the SourceScan tool. These are some of the examples of ASM rules. Now we move on to CPP rules. We know that header files could be included both using this angle brackets and double quotes. If suppose our coding standard ensures that this double quotes should not be used in our code, that could even be achieved by this by a rule in CPP. Similarly, we could check for some obsolete data types. Consider this decimal data type. This was a valid data type in one version of the CPP, but in the next version it is not valid. In that cases, we could ensure those obsolete data types using some of the implicit rules. Also, there are some data types which is valid for CPP, but implicitly when these are passed to ASM, this could be an issue. So those things also could be reported using these SourceScan tools. These are some of the examples. We will see how exactly these rules look like and how it is being used in the demo. Now, using zTPFGI, the SourceScan could be used in two ways. One is using compile or build. When we do compile or build of the assembly or CPP file, we could configure that the SourceScan is run after this compilation is being done along with this compilation process. That is one way, and in that way the output would be displayed in the output tab or error tab, which in turn is configurable by the organization. Suppose if the organization wants the output in error tab, the SourceScan output, that can even be achieved using this tool. This is one method, and the other method is right click option. Suppose if the user doesn't want to do a compile or build, before that he wants to ensure that his code is as per the standards. In that case, we have provided a right click option on the source code. So right click on the source code, and if source scan is being done, it would report these violations in the source scan tab. These are the two ways in which this tool could be invoked in zTPFGI. Now we mentioned that this output could be displayed in the zTPFGI tab, that is output or error or source scan tab. But as we all know, it is just temporary, because once we do other operation or once we clear the tab, these logs go off. So in order to maintain the logs permanently, we have another logging option as part of the zTPFGI, where all the logs reported in either of the two options, that is compile or right click, all those logs would be maintained in the directory PDW data ID source scan. This in turn is configurable by the organization, by the administrator, into whichever path he requires. Apart from this logging, we also provide another feature, that is like viewing the reports from these logs. We have these logs ready, but to make it more user-friendly and human-readable, we have two right-click options. One right-click option will give the monthly summary report on what are all the source scan issues that is being identified, and the other is a detailed report. And this detailed report we have customized based on the users preferences into like display only the programs which faced this issue, or only the users who have faced this issue, or only the issues, or give all the data. So these are the two different types of reports that can be viewed from the source scan logs. Now we pass on to the demo. Having said that rules are the major part of this source scan, we need a rules file which will have the list of all those rules. So this is actually the rules file, diskchecker.config. This could be different for different customers, the name could be different. This is the section ASM, which implies the rules for the ASM files are below. Now we could see this continuation macro check. This is one of the implicit rule followed by three parameters y, n and I. The first parameter indicates whether this rule needs to be applied or not. And the second one, which is not currently supported, it is for reserved for future purposes. And the last thing is where whether the output has to be displayed as an information message, or it has to be displayed as a warning, or it has to be considered as an error. So in the last piece implies that. Now this we could see this continuation macro check. In the PPT we saw that any continuation macro has to start in column 16. So this is the implicit rule for that. So when I use this rule, cont mac check equal to s, n and I, this tool will be used when compile or build is done on ASM, and any violations will be reported as information messages. We could see the another rule that the continuation line has to start in column, has to end with comma. That is being achieved using this macro, continuation macro comma. And another thing is labels used. So any unused labels which will be reported as violations using this rule. So these are some examples of some of the implicit rules. But there are user-defined rules also which could be customized as per the user's requirements. Now that is being achieved using this section equal to the section name. So the definition for that section will be below. We could see for this section, so this check equal to y implies this rule has to be applied, and mission instruction equal to LA implies this rule will be applied for this mission instruction LA, that too for this field BKD4K, and the violations has to be reported as error. That is being achieved using this error type equal to E. We can give either as I or W based on the requirements. And when there is any violations, some response has to be given in the tab. That would be given in this response field. So whatever we specify here will be given in the response, will be given in the output tab. So this is some example of ASM. So we will see how this ASM works. Now I have this file. So I can run compile on this file. Now in the builder tab, we could see after this compile process is done, source scan started, followed by, so we have source scan found 4 issues. And to see the details, we can go to the error tab. Here it is configured that the source scan issues are reported in error tab, but it is customizable. It could be even listed in this source scan tab or build tab based on the requirements. Now we could see that it reports continue macro line does not end with comma. So when I double click on that, it goes to the corresponding line. Here it does not end with a comma. That is being reported. And the second thing is continue line for a macro does not start in column 16. That is also being reported. These are reported as information messages because there we have mentioned in the rules as I. But in this source scan violation is being reported as an error because we have mentioned in the rules file as E. We could see that this LA instruction is being used in this field, so the corresponding response is being given. This is the user defined rule. And the next violation is this label is being defined but it is not being used anywhere. So these are the 4 issues that is being reported with the source scan tool. So now I go and insert a comma and the next continue line is started at live at column 16. So these are the changes I have done. I'm saving the file. Now I clear all the output. Again I run compile. Now we could see that the previous 2 violations has gone away and we still have 2 more issues. Since we have not rectified those violations, we have it displayed in this error tab. Now I'll just clear these output once again. Now we will see the other way of invoking the source scan. So I just do right click, example source scan. In our system it is being configured as example source scan, but in different customers system it could be configured as in a different way, but the functionality remains the same. So just give example source scan. We could see that the output is displayed in the source scan tab since it's a right click option, and source scan starting for this file and the 2 issues which we saw already, it is being reported. Now to rectify this, if I just comment this definition, I'm saving the file. I do clear all output. Again invoke the right click option. It says only one error message, that is this LA is being used in this field BKD4K. So that's all for the ASM file. Next we move on to CPP file. So we will look into the rules for the CPP file. So this is the section CPP followed by rules. So this include equal to Y indicates that all the header files that is included should only have angle brackets and should not have double quotes. And this long double equal to YNI implies that any long double data type that is used in the CPP file should be considered as double. And this decimal rule implies that this decimal data type is no more a valid data type, so it should be considered as a violation. And this clock T equal to Y implies that this clock T data type will cause issue when used in a CPP file, and in turn it is passed on to an ASM. So these are the implicit rules. I have a sample CPP file. Now currently this CPP file also could be invoked in two ways, using build also as a right click option, but using build is not configured in my system, so I'll just show the demo for right click option. I'm doing right click, example, source scan. We could see that source scan started for this file, and these are the three violations. Include use angle brackets around header. So it says I have used double quotes, so it says we need to use give angle brackets. So I'm modifying that. I'm saving the file. Now I have used decimal data type, which is not a valid data type anymore, so that is being reported here. Also this clock underbar T, it says, is double on 4.1 and long on zTPF only, so it will be an issue if we pass it to or from the ASM. So all the three issues are being reported here. I've just modified only the first issue, saved the file, and again run the right click option. The first issue has gone and only the remaining two issues are being reported. That's all for the CPP file. Next, we move on to the logging part. So far, we have seen that these logs are there in the source scan tab or in the error tab. But once we do clear all output, or once we close and open the GI, all those logs would have been gone. But we have configured in such a way that all these issues are being logged in the logging directory, and this logging directory is PDW data, ID is a source scan. Now there are two ways in which we could take reports from these logs. So before we move on to that, I'll just explain the format of these log files. These log files are logged in the name like SS implies source scan, and the year in the file is being updated, followed by the month the issue is being reported, followed by the actual issue name, which is the rule actually. You can see this clock T, continuation macro check, continuation macro com. So this is how the file is being created or updated. Now two types of reports can be taken from this. First, I right click on the source scan directory and this source scan view monthly report. Now we could see that this gives a high level information about all the issues that are being identified for this month. For the month of December 2016, source scan issues. So these are the following source scan issues. 8 old registry issue has been reported, 7 MVCM and 4276 labels used. So these are the list of issues followed by the total number of issues. Also, it could report month-wise. For November 2016, 11 globes issues are found, and this is the total number of issues. This is the high-level monthly report, and this file could be saved in any location. So when we close the file, it will ask whether we want to save it, and we can save it in the repository. And just give cancel. Now we could see the detailed report. This detailed report could be run on the files. So the user can choose multiple files, or the user can choose single file, or the user can choose all the files in the source scan directory. And when we right click on that, we give source scan view detailed report. So for now, I'll just choose some 3 to 4 files: clock T, continuation macro check, continuation macro com. These 3 things I choose. Right click, source scan, view detailed report. Now we have different formats in which the report could be generated. This is for the user's requirements. This first option, display only programs, will give details about what are all the programs which has the source scan issues. Only that information will be there. And display only users, this will display only the user information followed by the number of issues the user has faced. And display only issues, this will be similar to our monthly report. And display all data will give the complete data from the logs in a human readable format. Now I give display only programs, give OK. So in this case, it shows for the December 2016, and it is sorted by month wise. December 2016, for this issue, these are all the programs. So this program has been reported 4 times for this issue. And this continuation macro check, for this issue, this program has faced this issue 2 times. So similarly till the end of the report. Now source scan, view detailed report. And give display all data. OK. Now we could see that it gives all the details about that. So for this issue, user Abdul has faced this issue. He has faced it on day 5 of December at time 7:43:25 on line number 1003, column 6 to 7 of this file. So it has a complete information about the logs for these 3 files, chosen 3 files. These are the different users and the issue faced by those users in the appropriate time. Now if we could see that it is indexed based on the month. So similar, if this log has multiple logs for the month, suppose November or October, all those things would be indexed by month. Now there is another option in this report. I'm just choosing these things. View detailed report. Click on this checkbox index by user. Default index is by month, but we can alter the report for index by user, and I click on display all data. Now we'll see how the report looks like. we could see that the index is by user. So this user source scan issues for the month of December. So this is the information. And for the user Jeff, the following are the source scan issues. For the month of November, these are the issues. So for the user Praveen, for the month of December, these are the issues. So the report has been sorted by user and not by the month. So these are the different ways in which the report could be taken based on the requirement.